It's Tuesday. Welcome to Two Lines on Tuesday. Hopefully everybody's having a great day. Hopefully that things are going well today. Maybe you got a little bit of slot car time in. Let's see. Let's try this. There we go. Got some slot car time in. Maybe you've got some projects you've been working on, but we got some stuff to talk about. There's a lot happening in the slot car world, and it's been an interesting day. But looks like the chat is busy. The Fingers is in the house. John Albright, Chris Freder, Gina. Yeah, lots of people in the chat. Thanks for joining, guys and ladies. I really appreciate it. Just got done. I spent the previous hour or so on somebody else's podcast. I was a guest on Sasha and Dahi's podcast, and I don't know when that'll air in a couple weeks, but we had an amazing conversation. Sasha's a great kid, and if she's watching, keep doing good work, kid. Proud of you. Good job. Super comfortable. Getting really good in front of the camera, and had a fun time. We talked a lot about slot cars. We talked a lot about other things, other interests that we have. So it was fun. So thanks for having me. So you'll get to see that in a few weeks, whenever that comes out. Got a notification today from LEB Hobbies on a pre-ordered car that I didn't think was coming for maybe another month or so. So the new NSR GT40, the red, let's see. Yeah, the red LEB. Let's pull that up. Pre-orders. Well, it's probably not in pre-orders anymore. NSR. So I don't know how many of you ordered that. I'm a gigantic fan of the GT40. I make no bones about that. I love the GT40, and I have Mr. Bacon sent me one of the first NSR GT40s, the Golf livery, and I love that car. But I thought I didn't want to miss out on the red that they just released, and it's no longer. Oh, there it is. Yep. Pre-order. Let's throw this up. Web. There you go. That's the car. Must have been up from the last time. So yeah, that's the car. Just, man, in red, that car looks really, really good. And we know that it's a good performer. Really love driving. It might be one of the easiest cars I have to drive, the GT40. It does a great job. It loves the S-turns on the track. And so I got the invoice today from LEB, and that car will be on its way. Yeah, get that out of the way really quick. I've purchased too many cars lately. And that's really only 4 cars. 4 cars since the beginning of the year. So I'm averaging 2 per month. I'm not sure that's a very good average. No. 5 cars. 2.5 per month. Wow. So, but yeah, that's a good looking car. I'm excited about that. My brother Dusty, I believe he pre-ordered that as well. So LEB has shipped that out. Get it towards the end of the week. Good stuff. Been working on the track just to kind of get you guys caught up where I'm at. Been working on the track. Check. Yeah. Make sure the audio is good. The lap counter, man alive, that has been a challenge. I changed sensors this weekend, and Dusty and I probably for 4 hours on Sunday tested, retuned it. I adjusted the sensitivity on all the sensors, Sorry, kind of dry. Been talking a lot. And just struggling. Then Dusty left, and I unplugged one of the lights, and I lowered it right over top of the sensors because I was thinking maybe they're just not getting enough light. And by doing that, it didn't trigger at all. So I realized that it was getting too much light. And so I had to rethink the whole process of how these photo sensors were working. And so I killed the light on that end of the track, and it started working really well. Very accurate. All cars were working. Even the short Revo Slot Group 2 cars were working. Didn't matter how fast the car was moving. That was the problem we had before, is if the car was super fast, you went over the sensor too fast, it didn't read it. And so I've been testing it with Fast Laps. Again, shout out to Patrick. That software, the more I use it, the more I love it. But been having some lap counting issues, not triggering right. The new sensors aren't working great either. And then I flipped over to Race Coordinator just to see, and Race Coordinator is handling these sensors way better. And so Patrick and I have been talking about debounce rate. And so I've been doing some adjustment, and that made an impact on the ghost laps. So I think that we're getting someplace, and I think that I'll get this figured out. But it's been frustrating trying to figure out the lap counter. And I'm just this close to just ordering TrackMate and being done with it, because I know that's tested and proven and set up, ready to roll. But I think it's important for Patrick and Fast Laps that guys can do a DIY of some track counting hardware and use it with his software. So we're going to figure this out. Got some things to try. It's just we're picking up some interference, and whether it's IR or RF, just tends to cause some ghost laps, and we're not sure why. Shout out to Thomas, Tom Seidner. Tom sent me some programs that he wrote to put on the Arduino that would tell me what the sensors are doing. And so I need to upload those to the Arduino and run some laps, and maybe I can output that to somebody who knows what they're doing when it comes to programming. So that's the goal for this week. We're going to go racing at CincySlots on Thursday, and this is the last week for Group 2. So last night I spent some time tuning the Datsun. And I know we've all made a big fuss about this car, but I'm telling you, until you see it in person, it's a great looking car. I'm really impressed with it. Revoslot did an awesome job. Now, tuning wise, I tore this whole thing apart. And thanks to my buddy George at Area 51, I ordered the alignment tool, which is basically a 6mm stainless steel rod to align the axle towers for the rear. And I thought that the Datsun was lined up pretty good. Seemed to move pretty good. One thing that I did when I opened it up, I did notice that the motor had shifted and the pinion was not even touching. But what that allowed me to do is to see what kind of, how freely that axle spun. And it seemed to be okay. Then I used the alignment tool, and I could not get the alignment tool to go through the towers after I pulled the bearings out. They were not lined up. That doesn't mean the axle wasn't lined up. It just means the bearings weren't lined up. Which it doesn't take a whole lot to be out of kilter and create a bind, right? And that bind is going to slow that axle spin and cause all kinds of issues. So I loosened the towers, the axle towers, and got the alignment tool in, got it lined up, tightened them back down, and man, I can spin that those bearings in the axle, and they really move freely. Recommend it. Handy. Alan sells them at 132 slot cars. George figured out that you can order them off Amazon, but support your local shop. I think they're $10. But try it out. It might help some people. Help them keep that rear axle aligned. Hopefully, that'll be a big help. So, but yeah, going back to the Datsun. At first, I'm having a lot of problems. We know that these cars like float, right? The Group 2 cars. They like a lot of float. And as part of that, when you add a lot of float, you introduce tires rubbing the body. So you have to deal with that. And so whether you shave a little off of the spacers to get the tires to come in a little more, that's an option. You can take a Dremel and shave away some of the body. That's an option. But more than likely, you're going to have to do both. And the super tires seem to just have a little deeper edge and are rubbing. And so I'm still dealing with some rubbing. But I got this running 5 sevens on my layout. My Alpha runs consistent 5/8, like all day long, 5/8. And I've done some more tuning with it. It seems to be running fairly well. So I think I'm good. Consistent. I know that car will perform, but I think that this is maybe just a touch quicker. But we'll see how it runs at CincySlots and then make the decision on what car we run. I would love to run the Datsun, but my guess is I'm not the only person that would love to run their Datsun on Thursday night. So maybe I'll stick with the Alpha. We'll see. But guys, great cars. Great cars. I have no idea what's going on in the chat. I have honestly not looked at it. Slot Car Daddy. Everybody's doing well. Thomas. Hey, Thomas. Chris. Josh. Josh, the last time you were early. That's funny. Hey, Frankie. Good to have you. Who else? Hey, Greg. Thanks for being here. Slot Car Daddy. Hey, Jim. Guys, if you haven't watched, Jim did a great tuning video for the Datsun 510s. And Jim, I'm curious to know how it performs up against the rest of your Group 2 cars. If you feel like it might be the cream of the crop, or our track, the Alphas are really, really quick and seem to be top performers. We've got a couple of the cadets that run really well. But, yeah, thanks for joining. Appreciate it. Hey, Midwest RC. Tom, thanks for joining. Hey, Les. And Slot Car Fun. Hello. How are you? The new track build. Enjoy it. Great job. It's looking great. DNA, Dahi, welcome. Daniel, Patrick. Good to have you, Patrick. Hey, Caveman. Man, lots of people. Hey, Scott. Scott. Got the computer up, running, working fantastic. Thank you. Nick. Yeah, lots of people in the chat. Guys, thanks. Hey, Slot Car League of Champions. Hey, Eric Tucker. I am full analog as of today, loving the use of my DD302. Yeah, Eric, that's the beauty of the conversion, is being able to use your analog controllers. I've got something to add to that as well. Um, George meant to touch on the subject of Revo BMW tire rub when we talked earlier. I had a feeling that most of the bodies have tire rub issues when you introduce as much body float as these cars like. Now, I don't know if that's across the board, but at CincySlots, if you pick up anybody's car, there is a ton of body float, and those cars seem to really like it. So that's what we're discovering. Daryl, Marty is still in rookie mode. Hey, William, first-time visitor. William Baker, thank you for joining. I hope you enjoy the chat. That's what this is all about on Tuesday nights. We just try to tackle things in the chat. There's a wealth of knowledge out there, and so I hope you find you enjoy it. I do have some things to talk about. We've talked about the Datsuns a little bit. I have both the 35 and the number 52. I haven't touched the number 52 yet. I'm still trying to decide what to do with that one. And I just don't know. Right now, it is truly a shelf queen. It's up on the shelf and in a box, not open. And there's my brother, Dusty. That's funny. Welcome, Dust. Yep, great channel. Here's Lindsay Angel. Hello, Lindsay. Welcome. Figured out a way to do it without having to raise the body. Oh, nice. Maybe George will jump on. Oh, there you go. John, you figured it out, or George figured it out? So his cars would read, "Mine were way too fast." That's funny, Dusty. I really should keep up with the. Hey, Clint. I really should keep up with the chat. So my timing was better for that. Hey, Don. Welcome. Yeah, it was kind of a pain. Hey, Harry. Thanks for staying up super late. Doug is up late too. Hope you're doing well, Doug. Doug, man, I have to shout out to Magnetic Racing yet again. I love my lights. The lights are awesome. We were running the other night while we were racing, and they look fantastic. So, Doug, thanks, man. Really appreciate that. Check out those guys. They do great work. Race coordinator for the win. That's what I use with IR sensors. No issues. They only need small holes to read. That's what I'm trying to figure out, Midwest, if I made the holes too big for my sensors. I guess I didn't really have anything to go by. I just drilled holes and have the whole sensor showing. But I think I might have the sensitivity up too bright. So I need to play with that. But yeah, it did a really good job. Question, Marty, can you maybe shield the Arduino? Could it be electrical interference from different motors messing with? Scott, that's exactly what it is. And I've attached some capacitors to try to protect the Arduino. I think I may have used cables that were too long. Patrick and I were talking about this today. My cables for the sensors are about 5 feet long, and I think people think that that's a little too long. That I should shorten those cables up. That might be part of my problem. So I'm going to continue to do some testing, but that's exactly what it is. I just don't know what's causing it, and I've tried to, I don't know what else to do to shield the Arduino. Steve, what's up, Steve? Glad you're here, man. Slot R, set up a Revo like a mullet, tidy at the front and all floppy in the back. Nice analogy, Dave. I love it. Frankie's got Datsuns on the way. You will not be disappointed. Now, but what you have watch Slotar's video from today. He did a great job explaining to how different a Revo slot is compared to a slotted and compared to other style chassis. The way that chassis plate works, one chassis plate is all about the body, and then the rear is all about the motor pod. And they tune them different. They're a different animal. And then I had some people comment about how disappointed they were in how fast the Revo slots were. And I guess they were comparing them to Carrera magnet cars. And I'm not sure that that's a fair comparison, comparing any magnet car to a no magnet car. And I'm not sure how great of a magnet car a Revo slot is or can be. I just feel like I've never ran magnets on one. I just don't know that they would make great magnet cars. If you want a great magnet car that will beat your Carrera magnet cars, go get a slotted McLaren, an NSR Mosler, something that the chassis is like right on the track, and the magnets will take full effect. So that's what I recommend. I'm not sure I would recommend a Revo slot as a mag car. There were a couple people that were disappointed in how the Revos were performing. And you have to race Revos against Revos. And that's why this Group 2 class has been some of the most fun we've had at the club. Really tight racing. Each week it's been somebody different at the top of the list. And a lot of people fighting for, you've got 1st through 10th place are like not on the same lap, but about a lap apart. It's really tight racing. Too funny. I'm making you fly to Ohio to clean my drink. Clean up my drink. That's funny. Who else? What else we've got going on? Have been using a small machinist straight edge to check axle and bearing alignment with good success. Yeah, I think so. It's the same type of tool, but this made it kind of a no-brainer. Made it really easy. So it did a nice job. So I recommend it. Let's see. What else? Yep, calipers are back up. I use my calipers all the time. That is a tool that you need in your toolbox. Hey, Chris Neal, welcome. About the same as the Escort. That's cool. Yeah, I feel like they're very similar cars, the Escort and the Datsun. The Alpha seems a little shorter from a stance standpoint, maybe not as top heavy. The Opel seems to be the best on our larger commercial tracks. Guide lead is longer, like the BMW, but lighter. Yeah, I could see that, Jim. That the Opel is quick on CincySlots track, and it's quick on my track because I've got a long straight that really allows that car to open up. Dusty's got a Cadet that my brother that runs really well. But I felt like my Alpha was doing pretty well against him on Sunday. The booger will be back on the track. That's right, Steve. Good to have you, man. Slotar says, Doug, I need to pick your brain at some point on the subject of setting tracks up efficiently. Right, exactly. That's what I was thinking. Steve shows up, I immediately move down the... Question. On a 4-lane Carrera digital track, can you lane change in all 4 lanes? Slot Car League of Champion, yes. And that's a good segue into what I thought I would talk about next. Alex sent me from Axle Box, sent me one of the new Axle Box Ultra 4s. And I think I showed it last week. It came in on the day of the live stream. Well, I got it installed last week, and over the weekend, got it cleaned up. Maybe I'll take the camera over and take a look at it. Super easy install. I have a video that I'm working on that'll probably release in the next week or two. But the install was super easy, works really well, pretty efficient. Instruction manual is great. So I feel like anybody who buys this will be able to install it just following the instructions. Very simple. So Alex, home run, great job. It works really, really well. And so yes, by the flip of the switch, I can go from 4 lanes digital to 4-lane true analog just by flipping the switch. Does a great job. It is not doing lane chipping, so it's not like a tech slot box or the original Axle Box. It's a true analog 4-lane, but in a super tidy package. I built my converter, and it was basically for 4 lanes. It was in 2 different boxes because I already had a 2-lane built, and then I added 2 lanes. So I built a little separate box, and it was a bunch of switches. And this is one switch that's using some relays inside to make all of what needs to happen. So what you need to understand about switching from digital to analog is digital, the right lane is your positive, and analog, your left, not lane, rail. The right rail is positive, analog, the left rail is positive. Is that right? Maybe I got that switched. Yeah. Analog, right rail is positive, left rail is positive in digital. Yeah, I think that's right. But regardless, the polarity has to switching from digital to analog, and you got to protect the CU. So it takes a lot to do that, but it's pretty simple once you break it down. So slot car, League of Champions, yes, on a 4-lane Carrera digital track, you can lane change all 4 lanes, and it works really well. I've done some testing. In 5 seconds, I can go from racing digital, flip the switch. We're now going analog. Fantastic. Whatever, Daryl. Daryl, you finished ahead of me every week, I think. They seem to run better without the rear body mounting screws. Yeah, Jim, I think that everyone at our track, I don't know that anybody is running the rear body screws. The cars really like a lot of body float. Hey, TNT. What's up, Tim? How are you, man? Hope you're doing well. What else? No drama is in the house. I like that. No drama. Then get in my belly. Marty watched my video. I think he's going to do the part 2 for it for people who want to get more serious with it. I thought that I thought it was a great video. I thought that you really approached it well. I think what I was sensing is that there were people kind of dogging Revo Slots because you have to do a little bit of work, and they don't tune like another car. I'm not sure that was a fair shake for Revo Slot, to be honest. But it is what it is. Not everybody has to love everything, but we know that those are quality cars. For the price, you're getting fantastic components. Again, that might not be the fastest car on your track. I know that my Revo Slot is not my fastest car on the track, but we've learned a lot about tuning them over the last 6 months, and they perform way better than they did before. So we've gotten better at tuning them. But I think it's important that you race them in class. I think that's the big thing to recognize. Hey, Slot Journal, welcome. William Baker. I'm new to the hobby and seem to notice that a lot of newbies will start with digital and then seem to move towards analog. Am I reading this trend wrong? William, I think we talk about this every week on the live stream. That's been my journey. And here's why I think it goes that direction. Is digital is super popular in the home set right now. It's really what Carrera pushes. They have a lot of options when it comes to digital sets, and usually only have 1 or 2 evolution sets. So they're pushing those. I think that's that's what makes it super interesting. I think the journey towards analog is if you like, for us, we were all digital, all magnets. And tuning cars for us when we first started was adding more magnets. We didn't know any better. We didn't really have anybody teaching us anything. We were watching YouTube videos, and lots of the tuning videos out there are for no magnets. So we didn't really feel like we were learning anything to impact what we were doing, which was digital racing with magnet cars. And then we went to CincySlots for the first time and jumped in and raced that first night. And it was the first time we'd ever raced no magnet cars. And I think and analog. And that was the turning point for us. Chipping cars gets expensive. And I think that's part of it. As you get more cars that are not Carrera cars, then I think that's what you run into is you start getting Revo Slots. You start getting slotted cars and Thunder Slot and NSR, Fly. When you start branching out outside of Carrera cars, no, don't get me wrong. Carrera cars are great. They are made to race digital. They will take a beating because digital cars will take a beating. But the couple cars that I had purchased that I put chips in and were racing digitally, one was a GT40 slotted that I absolutely love, and it is beat to heck. And the other is an NSR 908, and I love that 908, but it did not survive digital racing. Everything that can be broken off that car is broken on that car. And so like that was the other transition is we were buying these analog cars, wanting to put chips in them so we could run them digitally, and decided that we were tired of tearing up our cars running digital. And so then we just went back to running our Carrera cars digitally, and then we had the tech slot box, and we would flip over to analog, and we would race analog the other cars. And that was working. And so I feel like what you're seeing in that trend is if you decide you jump in and you want to progress towards racing, then the natural progression is to drift back towards analog. I've got the best of both worlds. I can run digital, I can run analog, and so what we've done is pretty much when we run digital, it's either it's magnet cars, 1/32 Carrera magnet cars, or we can do 1/24 scale no magnet Carrera cars. And that tends to be what we do when we do digital. But most of the time we're prepping for racing at the local club. So that's what we're doing. Hopefully that, William, that answers your question. But that's the trend you're seeing is because it's kind of like the natural progression now that digital is out there. It's pretty easy to get into a digital set. It's a blast. It's a lot of fun. I mean, lane changing, fuel stops. It's super entertaining. The software will announce the races like you're at a racetrack, right? That's fun. But then as you get like a little more serious, then it tends to shift back towards analog and round robin style racing, things like that. Let's see. What else do we have going on? Yeah, exactly, Dusty. Where do you want to take the hobby? And there's no wrong answer. Like, I'm an advocate for both. Digital's where we started. I have this love for digital that's fun. When my kids are home, when my nephews and nieces are over, we're always running digital. They're pretty tough on the equipment. But the last time my kids were home, the girls really got into running no magnets, and they really enjoyed the analog racing. So they're starting to transition too. And then you have people like Slot Car League of Champions who went from analog to digital. And that was typically how it was done, because a lot of people were in analog and then digital came out, and I would say that they got drawn into that. William, yes, if you have the Omni slot box, you are in great shape. You did not make a mistake by doing that. Hey, Reese. Yeah, good call. I apologize. Yeah, the Revo beamers handle best when the body is loose. I am way behind. Sorry, guys. I'm bringing you a canteen of water. Thanks, Ben. Sorry, Marty. Did you watch Dave's post? It was great stuff. Yeah, I did. I really enjoyed Dave's video. It was great. On the Scalextric tracks, last Friday, my Revo 510 no magnet was keeping up with another guy's magnet Carrera Ferrari 488. The Ferrari 488 Carrera is my worst car. And maybe it's just because I don't have tires for it. If I get tires for it, I could probably improve that. Hey, Brandon. Yep, Sasha is in the house. Revo slots don't have a pod. They are similar to a flexi car, center section and body plate. Yep. Let's see what else we have going on. If I miss somebody's question, this is moving really. Axle is GOAT for the price. Travis, yeah, the Ultra 4 is really, really the way to go. Then if you ever expand, you can go to 4 lanes without a problem. I think it's great. Let's see. Oh, yeah, no problems, Dave. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. Let's see here. Yeah, fashionably late. That's the way to be, right? Yeah, no worries. Hey, Steve Sweeney. Welcome. Let's see what else. Yeah, we watched 28 Weeks Later. Marty, sending you, thanks, Vin. I don't think the Revos come with a magnet. I think that says a lot. Yeah, Vin, it actually does. There's a small bar magnet that ships underneath, taped underneath in the little baggie with the wood guide. But, like, where do you put that on this chassis? I mean, I think the only place is right there, down right in front of the motor. And, I mean, I just don't know how well that magnet would do that. There's not enough room to put it underneath the chassis. So yeah, I just don't know how well a magnet would perform in a Revo. Let's see what else. Hey, Slot Valley Racing. What's up, Dan? Welcome, man. Good to have you. Marty, it took my getting the 510s, tuning them to understand how to fix the F40 that frustrated me last year. So, Chris, that's kind of funny. So when I look back at my tuning journey, it took Daryl Rogers giving me the Thunderslot Elva that I could reverse engineer some things. And I think I was making it overly complicated in my head, that it took like a lot of work to tune a car properly. And what it gave me was kind of guidelines to go by. Try this, then you try this, then you try this, put it on the track, run some tests. And then you try this, run some more tests. Then you try this. And it really just gave me a workflow that helped. And so I think that tuning is definitely figuring out how to respond to what a car is doing. And if you don't have the background, then the only way you learn is by either reverse engineering what somebody else has done, or you ask a million questions. And that's why I started this live stream, because I had questions and there were guys that would jump in and give me answers in the live chat. And that's how it started. And now look what it is. I mean, it's this beautiful thing that is so much fun. Yeah, the Group 2s do include a magnet. But Chris, that makes sense, that getting the 510s. I mean, I would say that running a couple of our cars when you came down to the track probably helped too, because then you understood what a decently tuned car should do, right, on the track. And that's what the Elva did for me, was like, oh, this is what I can expect. So how do I take this other car? I started retuning some of my other cars. So how can I take this car and make it perform like this? Okay, so this weight is here. So let's try it here. This is what body float should be. This is how much body float is too much, too little. You start picking up on things like that. So that's what. So I'm glad you're learning, Chris. That's great. That's why we're all here, right? Yeah, Dave, that's exactly right. I don't know that magnet that comes with the Revo slots is good for much other than putting your kids' artwork up on their refrigerator. Yeah, Dan. Yep, glad to have you, man. I appreciate you tuning in. Means a lot. And I see that you're firing up your live stream on Monday nights again. So that's cool. Sounds like you might be enjoying that NSR, that McLaren that you picked up. That's a great looking car. I love that livery. It's good stuff. Revo slots are not about the speed and all about the drive. The speed comes from learning how to drive them. I would completely agree with that, John. It's funny how when I first got my first Revo slot, which was the 333 SP, the Ferrari, it ran really well right out of the box. I bought it and raced it the same day, had about half an hour to get it tuned up and get some practice laps in. And I was fortunate that it was an easy tune, and then it ran really well for that day. And then as I continued to lap, I realized how much more I could get out of it. And it was as much learning how to drive that heavier car around the track than it was, anything else. So yeah, that's a great comment. George, it's all about having fun in digital or analog. You hit the nail on the head, George. That's why we all do this, is so we can have fun. So I do struggle when guys get into the wars talking about magnets and no magnets and digital and analog, and I really feel like that just creates this tension that we don't need, which no drama. That's the name right there, right? That's what we try to stay away from. So that's good stuff. It's a secret Weber. Hi, Marty. It's a first time for you. Well, I appreciate you tuning in. I hope you enjoy it. We have a lot of fun here. I talk a lot, so I try to be a moderator for the chat. That's my job in this live stream. But I did have some things to talk about tonight. Got a couple more things that we'll touch on. Hey, Jamie, welcome. Good to have you, man. Yeah, welcome, Secret. I appreciate it. Hey, Bill Royal. Thanks for being here. It's good to see everyone. Let's see what else. If I want a lot of track, I have to buy a digital set, and the waste money paying for digital parts I don't want. Would love a big analog set from Carrera for a decent price. Harry, I don't know, like what Facebook Marketplace is like over there. It's a little crazy here, but you can find some good deals. I will say that the digital parts that you have, as long as you pull the jumpers out of the corners, you can use the digital straights with analog, as long as you've got lane separation, like they're independent. There's no crossover. You are good. So the double and single lane changers, they do not have jumpers inside, so you're good to go. I mean, with the switch, with the Ultra 4, the axle box, I flip the switch and I'm digital. I've got 8 or 10 lane change track pieces in the layout and a pit lane, and then I flip it to analog and I'm a 4-lane analog track. So, if you've got a bunch of lane changing straights, you can still use those, even though you won't run digital. You'll be analog. You should be good to go. Bogey Golfer. Are analog cars slower? No. Analog cars are not slower. A lot of analog cars are no magnet cars. And a no magnet car might be a little slower than a magnet car. Yes, because they will stick in the turns. But digital analog, there's no slower or faster. Simon says, I do wish Carrera would ditch the magnets and put the cost offset into better tires. Simon, I think that tires have become a real problem for Carrera, and there are lots of aftermarket tires that should be able to bail you out there. But yeah, I understand. The magnets. Again, there are magnet cars, home sets. That's what they're for. Yep, but it's not going to happen. Yep, can't happen. I should have just looked down at Dave's. That's funny. Disco really show how good digital can be. Yeah. Again, I have no problems with digital, Travis. It's fun. It's just a different style of racing. You at a digital race, you race to be first across the finish line. In an analog race, you're racing for total laps, and you're racing against the lanes, and it's just a different mindset. For the most part, I mean, you still have places. You got first place through last place, but you're as you rotate through the lanes, you're racing against somebody else, but they might be on lap 15 and you're on lap 0 because they raced in the heat before you, right? So you're not really ahead of them or behind them, but you can hunt them. So, Bogey, all of my analog cars seem to be quicker than my digital cars, but all my digital cars are also stock, no magnet Carreras. Right, Josh, that's a fair statement. I did melt my slot at trying to flatten the chassis. Oops. Hey, Tad. Well, how's the scratch building going, Tad? Tad's got a great looking oval layout, by the way. I really love the lighting you've done. Looks great. Let's see. Question. Caveman, does have a Omnibox or such affect the track power jumpers? I think the Omnibox does a great job of helping you install jumpers because there's a patch panel basically on the back terminal strip that you can terminate so you know where your jumpers are going to plug into. And that makes it super easy. Like, that's brilliant from Jim's standpoint for that box. Dusty and I installed jumpers on this track, and it was a piece of cake. You just have to make sure that you have them right. A lot of people, caveman, say that because of the Omnibox and the way it handles power, that in analog mode, you might not need jumpers on even some longer tracks because it just handles the analog power so well. But I'm guessing that you probably would need to have jumpers from the digital side if your track is, a pretty good distance. This track is right at 60 feet, and so we split it in half and put one jumper at 30 feet, exactly halfway from the CU, and it works perfectly. Now, I may buy some more wire and put another set of jumpers and split that in to every 20 feet instead of one jumper at 30 feet, 2 jumpers every 20. But I'm not sure that I would see any difference based on the way the cars were running. Oh, no drama. What's better, analog, Skeletric, or a Carrera? I feel like Skeletric and Carrera cars perform very similar. I think you're limited on what you can do to tune them. It's really about truing wheels and tires for the Carreras and the Skeletrics, but you don't really adjust the ride height, the guide depth. They're just not made to tune that way. If that makes sense. So I think they're very similar. I would call it an even trade, although I feel like the couple Skeletric cars that I have are fairly quick cars. Yeah, Carrera tires are problematic no matter what. Yeah, I know a lot of people have had problems with them. No drama, Polycar. What's better, analog, Skeletric, or Carrera? Were you talking about cars, or were you talking about track? No drama. If I were going to build an analog track right now, I would probably pick Polycar. I've been dying to try Polycar. Just haven't been able to do it. But it's really grippy. And so I think that's what Dave's referring to. If you're not talking about cars specifically, but you're talking about track, yeah. If I was building an analog, I'd either build a wood track or I'd probably look at Polycar. Let's see. I've noticed that the Carrera digital cars are built like tanks, and the chipped NSR or slot of cars are fast but very fragile. Bogey golfer. That is exactly why I quit chipping my analog cars, because slotted NSR, those cars, scale auto, they're not made for digital racing. Like my NSR car, I'm looking for it on the shelf. Shoot, I don't see it. Oh, there it is. So, one of my favorite slot cars. This car, I think, is fantastic. It is scratched and beat up, broken wing. All of the motor plastic pieces are broken and gone. Roll bar is still there. Mirrors are gone. Everything that you can break off of this car was broken because I chipped it and ran it digital for about 6 months. It was the blast to run digital, but it got destroyed. And I can take a look at that versus this car, my Elva, one of my favorite cars that I own. It has as many laps as my NSR, and it still looks like the day that it came out of the box. And it has about the same kind of mileage. It's just, it's not been chipped and ran digital. It doesn't get rear-ended. It doesn't, it's not a magnet car where it's holding on to dear life, flying through a turn as fast as you can go. So I think that's the big difference. Hopefully that we beat that horse to death. Carrera for 124 option later. Yeah, that's a good choice. If you want to run 124, then the Carrera track has the space for it. I think you could do it on Polycar, but it's probably pretty tight. Polycar could take 124, just tighter, but still works. ZSJ Slot Car Raceway, good evening. What's up? Thanks for joining. You put it in the trash, Marty Ford. Put what in the trash? Magnet's the work of the devil. Drama with slot cars, user error. John, that's good. Burn Dog, you're still waiting for your pizza. Yeah, thanks. Appreciate that, Dave. Simon says, Dave, good. Yeah, well, I think that there's a lot of synergy going on in the hobby right now, and I think that people are working well together, and that's what we hope for, right? So I'm all about that. So thanks, appreciate that, Dan. If there's ever anything I can do to help you out, man, you let me know. Happy to do whatever I can. How do NSR cars compare to slot auto? Slot auto or scale auto? Okay, Dave answered that. They are as fast. Yep, good answer. Hey, Mr. Rogers, I'm new to slot cars. I'm running on the Giant Raceway. My wife says I've got a lot of body float. Hey, Anthony, what's up, man? Hope you're doing well. I'm glad you're tuning in. Just ordered a slot auto. My buddies have NSR. Yeah, I don't have any experience with slot auto. I've got a scale auto car, and I can tell you that thing's a rocket ship. But Marty, yes, very true. Getting to see how all your cars handled helped a lot. Yeah, I mean it does help, right, Chris? When you get a chance to see how other people tune and they share some knowledge, and you get to drive what a car should feel like. That was a game changer for me. We have just been using the wood magnets, Vin. You're funny. No drama. Lurking in the background, low. Sorry to hear that, Dan. Hopefully you're doing better. Don't feel like playing cars? Well, rest up, man. Rest up. Having a race car shop in Houston and building road racing and drag racing cars for 20 years, to my surprise, didn't really translate to tuning slot cars. I tease my buddy John Mark. He's a mechanic every day, and he hates tuning slot cars. And I think it has to do with the fact that he knows so much about cars, and it doesn't translate. I mean, I think it eventually it does, but they take a minute to figure out. Hey, Code. Yeah, man, we got a full house. I mean, the last 3 or 4 weeks, it's been phenomenal. Greg, perfect. It doesn't matter. Run what you like. Hey, Racer X, good to have you back, man. Things the axle and the Omni boxes, etc., give you. So the Omni box, The Omni slot box is a little different than the axle box, but he does now have the emulator, which is pretty much the same type of situation as the axle box. So both have great qualities, both well built, good stuff. I would check them out. The axle box is probably a little cheaper, and Alex is, turning them out. Jim's building the Omni boxes, and I think he has a little bit of help, but they're all great shops. You can't really go wrong. What else? Run what you like the way you like, and experiment and get outside your comfort zone once in a while to see what you might like something better. Daryl, that's really good advice, because I think that if we would never have come down to Cincy and raced, we might not have ever left magnets, because we didn't have a reason to, until we drove some cars that actually performed really well. I was like, I think I can drive this car almost as fast as I can drive a magnet car. Well, that's more of a challenge to me, and that's kind of the direction we went. And so, yeah, sometimes you got to get out of your comfort zone. Sometimes you got to try to tune a fly car, see if you can, polish a turd. Although we know that flies look awesome, they're a different bird to tune, right? Never seen one thing for sale on Marketplace. Yeah. It's hit and miss sometimes. Hey, grandson of man. Marty, what do you have to do for switching corners? So Racer X, for the axle box, you would have to do this for any kind of conversion from analog to digital or digital to analog. Any of the track pieces that Carrera makes that are jumpered together. And so the only track piece that you have to deal with is you have to take a corner lane changer apart, because in there's a section that got this little jumper that basically ties the left lane to the right lane. And it's inside. You pull that jumper out and you're good to go. I've got a lane changing curve at the very end, which is kind of a fun lane changer. A lot of times we forget about it, but that it's in the track until it's too late. As long as you take that jumper out and you have, rail continuity, so you just cannot have any crossover. And with digital, it doesn't matter, right? So some of those lanes are jumpered together, and if you've got lanes jumpered together, it doesn't really matter. But it matters when you flip over to analog. So that's the only track piece that Carrera makes that you have to be careful. The other track, take it back. The other track piece is the multi-lane edition. So if you want to go from 2 lanes to 4 lanes, you'll have to pull the jumpers out of the multi-lane track piece as well. And when you install the Axle Box Ultra 4 that I'll be putting a video out about, that's what you have to do. You have to unplug the power ports coming off the CU, and then the jumper that's in that, and then you're good to go. Let's see. What else do we have? Hopefully that, Racer X, hopefully that answered your question. What else do we have? I'm looking for questions. You won't see any difference. There you go. Thanks, Daryl. And Roast Coffee. Yeah, we don't want to forget about our friends at Roast. Such loaded questions tonight. That's funny. Paul Gage tires on Carrera, wake them up, and that's about it. So we run silicones mostly because that's where we're always testing and tuning to go race at the club. And since the club that we race at, which is CincySlots, runs silicone, that's what we run on the track here. Now, we could move to rubber if something changed. you know, but with silicones, you got to run a clean track. If the track is dirty, you know, it's drift city. So, but clean the trap, wipe it down, and you're back to golden. William Baker, I am currently trying to figure out the best materials to build my slot car table, legs, runners, and top. I have watched many YouTube videos, but no definite answer. So, William, my table came together kind of funny because we already had some 4x4 platforms built. Those are out of 2x4s and some OSB, 7/16 OSB. It's fairly cheap, sturdy enough. I can get on top, crawl across the table. Not a big deal. So, you know, keep it pretty simple. Just keep it supported enough that you can put some weight on it. So if you need to put your track together, you can crawl out across it. But it doesn't take a whole lot. 2x4s, make some legs, make a frame, throw some OSB plywood, put some marine grade carpet on top of it. I've got black. Black shows everything. Lots of dirt, so I'm always trying to sweep it off. But the green, it would be, you know, more like grass, and cover your table and you're good to go. That's what I would recommend. Nico track goes bad pretty quickly. Slot car league, the track warps easily over time. Yeah. Especially if it in a situation where it's got a lot of heat and cool changes. I use my Carrera tires to make tire walls. Yeah, John Albright. I agree. I watch the slot car news as well. That track is grippy. What else? Need roll cage on analog to race against digital. A natural progression of things. If I place an order for a new Revo Slot 1 hour after another Revo Slot was delivered, do I have a problem? That's Daniel. Welcome. You're in a good place. You're a great support group. Greg, yes, Marty, that was my experience too. My first non-Carrera car was a slot at Ferrari 512. I chipped it and just about destroyed it. And I look back at that car, Greg, and it's like, I love this car, but it is destroyed, and it doesn't run near as good as it did when I first got it, and everything's broken off of it. It's beat up. I still love it, but yeah, that's the frustrating. Can you drive a 124 scale on Ninko track? I don't have any experience with Ninko track. I would say that it's probably too narrow of lane length or lane width. Can we get an Amazon Prime type shipping feature from Slot Car Corner? Well, I will tell you, LEB, anything over $100 free shipping. So if you spend over $100, you get free shipping from LEB. Just throwing that out there. Listen, I support all of them. I buy a lot from Bruce at CincySlots. He just got a big collection of cars in and posted yesterday and today. Go check those out. If you're looking for some classic fly cars, he's got a great selection of those. Some Carrera cars, a bunch of Ninko cars that came in that collection. So CincySlots.com, go check it out. So I buy stuff from there. Lynn at LEB, some of the best customer service. You order something and I feel like 30 seconds later you get the email that it's shipped and the tracking number and everything. They do awesome. Just got the notification today that my new NSR GT40 is on its way, which is awesome. And then Slot Car Corner, always great service from them as well. But yeah, no free shipping. Would painting my Carrera track make it as grippy as Polycar? Do Polycar tracks allow drift? Caveman, I think that even though they're super grippy, you can still drift get a car to break loose on polycar track. There's lots of information out there about painting your track. Massimo has done some videos on painting his track. I believe that Jim Cunningham has got some information out there on his website about painting, what types of paints to use. There's a bunch of stuff on Home Racing World about painting your Carrera track and what type of paints, some tests. Dennis Sampson, I think, has a video out there talking about different paint types that are good. What I hear is the cheap latex, like the cheaper the better, because it has more latex in it, and that's pretty grippy. And that's really all I know. I've thought about painting my track, but I talk myself out of it. Let's see. Not really. That's why they made 128th car. Okay. Is this the Slot Car Anonymous meeting? John Mark Hall. Yes. I should probably rename Tuesdays. Tuesdays at 2 lines to Slot Car Anonymous. Brandon, you said, I don't know where to put the magnet. Travis said, in the trash. Oh, got it. Was it Travis that said that, or was it Dave? It may have been Dave that said that. I can't remember. That's great. No, it won't make it as grippy. The grip comes from the teeth in the track. Yeah. Polycar is grippy because of the texture. Yeah, this is the right place. Slot Car League and their 128 scale was interesting. Belt drive, rear wheel drive slot cars. That is interesting. Yes, Vin, they definitely allow for higher impact crashes, which is why Carrera and Scalextric cars are perfect for that, because they can handle that. They're built like tanks. Question, is there a definitive guide to build a slot car table, materials and whatnot? 8x16. William, I had these 4x4 risers that we cut down and used, and then I just put stringers between the two sections and covered them with the OSB. I didn't overthink it. I think I'm like 24 inches on center. That's plenty. You're not building a table to your slot car racing on. You're not. It doesn't have to be like built like a tank. It'll support. So I think don't overthink it. Build a nice frame. Good legs, supports every 24 to 36 inches, yeah. I should have made a video on making our table. I've had that question a lot. Yeah, I haven't seen a guide when it comes to table carpentry. There's just so many ways to do it. Yeah, I agree. The way I did it was super fast. John Mark and I built the table in, probably an hour. We flew. Yeah, he's in good company, for sure. You can run digital without magnets, yes. That's what we do at CincySlots. All the digital races are still no magnets. We run digital no magnet, second race every week at CincySlots, yep. I hate lane jumpers. They always crash me. That's right. Jason, that's good. I have quite a few non-mags on my track. I do, however, usually have to add weight. Yeah, Caveman, that's all part of tuning a car. How about if you have the Omni box, do you have to pull the jumpers out of the track also? Anthony, yes. If you watch the video instructions for the Omni slot box, it's one of the things. I think even when you order an Omni slot box, you get a device to check lane continuity, to whether you have to check to make sure that the lane is isolated. If it's not isolated, then you're going to short out your cars or your controllers or your CU Won't be good. I haven't been able to play with my slot cars because my dog got vertigo. Doggy vertigo. Michael Squire. Well, that's too bad for the dog, man. So no working on your scratch build, huh? Question: what degree of turn is the Carrera turn lane changer? It is an R1. Yeah, it would be great if they had like R2, R3, R4s as lane changer. That would be a lot of fun. But they're only R1s. I feel like fly cars years ago raised the bar for realism. Then I would agree. Their bodies are fantastic. Putting a 3D pod chassis underneath of them really wakes those cars up. A lot of fun. Harry, so is it okay to have 2 straight crossovers from digital on your analog track just to save the cost of 2 straights, not to be used as crossovers, just straight functionality on analog? Harry, I have them right there, and I run analog every day. As long as you've got lane isolation, that's the key. As long as there's no crossovers, but those don't have any internal jumpers, so you're good. It's just the corner lane changers. Just make the table support strong enough that a well-fed man can climb up on it. That's great. That's a tall order. That's funny. You find your broken parts from digital racing on black better. Daryl, this is true. We have a broken parts graveyard, a big pile of plastic, the corner of the track. Carrera should make a turn lane changer in 415. I know, that would be fantastic. I could not agree more. But it's just a lot of things for them to build, right? Turn lane changers inside to out, outside to in all 4 of their radiuses. That production gets pretty expensive. I understand why they don't, but they haven't really made a new digital track piece in 10 years, so it's not like they have to do it all at once. Let's see. Question: are Ninko cars any good? Slot Car League of Champions. There are lots of people who love Ninko cars. I only have one. And I will tell you that the Ninko, it runs okay, but it was my most difficult car to tune. And it's so loud. I've never been able to get that thing to quiet down. So it sits on the shelf. I don't run it very often. But they look good. It's a BMW. It's right there. Right there. It's a good-looking car. But, no. Dave, I might buy it so it's still sitting in Ohio, but you can have it to see listed online anymore. Josh, I missed what it was that you're talking about. Dave, question for you. When are you going to fire up your wood track? Let's see, what else do we have? I have cheap gray latex on my wood track. Great grip. There you go. I think the cheap latex is the way to go. One, it's cheap, and it seems to be grippier than the rest. Better traction through tires. Yep, John is an advocate to tire treatment. And then when you watch his videos, you understand he knows what he's talking about. Those cars boogie around the track. Actually, yes, I believe it was Dave. Sorry. YouTube channel confused all the time. Guys, I have caught up with the... Hey, Asher. Welcome. Glad to have you. Yeah, guy. Yeah, yeah, Harry. I've dealt a lot with it. I burn up some stuff. Yeah, slot cars will wait. Take care of your dog. Something happened to our dogs. I'm attached for sure. I've got a Ninko Cobra. It's a bit noisy, fun though. Yeah. Do they make a digital chip for Ninko cars? So the generic chip, not generic, but it's the FT Slot Technic chip. It's tiny, and you can fit it into just about anything. That's what I would recommend if you're going to try to chip a Ninko car. They don't make one specifically. And the Ninko is not DPR ready. So it's not like it's got on the... Yeah. So it is what it is. But it's a great car. It just doesn't perform great. It's so loud. If you get it to quiet down. But I love the body. Likes noisy cars. It aggravates other drivers. Daryl knows that it aggravates me. Quiet, smooth. That's what I'm about. Mark, evening from 70 to this afternoon to 25. Whew, big change in temperature. Mark, good luck on that. True. Yeah, I probably misspoke when I said treatment. But that's what I meant. Prep. Getting them trued is important. Yeah, Les. It is. That's how I keep that car quiet, Les. It just sits on the shelf. Too funny. Ninko V12 Le Mans. Yep. Secret Weber. That is what that is. I have a Ninko for Slot Journal. I have a Ninko F50 that always loved the looks of, but it's noisy, and that NC1 motor, ugh. It will get tuned up after the track is ready. That's cool. Yeah, I have nothing against Ninko. They've got some great looking cars. It's 9:22. What haven't I covered? Oh, I know what I haven't covered. Greg was going to come on. Greg from Velocity Slot Car Parts. I've had this little sticker for the last month. I've had it sitting right here with the roast bottle. And I've had a few people reach out and ask me what it said. Hey, Mad P, welcome. But they basically have developed, and I think I can talk about this. Greg was going to come online, but he's actually talking to the Michigan 24 folks, and doesn't want to upset anybody. I can't blame him. But I think it's really cool that they've developed an adapter for a brushless motor to fit on a Sidewinder or angle winder pod. And if you go to Velocity, if you go to their webpage, and I'll pop this up. Oops. This is their webpage, and they've got more parts that they're going to publish out there. But if you go to their catalog, you can see that they've created 2 adapters, and this is what these adapters look like. And one is for an angle winder adapter, and the other one is Sidewinder. And it basically allows you to mount a brushless motor, and they will actually have brushless motor kits in the coming week that you can buy, and they're reasonably priced. And with what NSR is putting out there, such an expensive, it's just an expensive to jump into brushless. But this is an inexpensive way to jump in. This is built for a 132nd car. It's an easy. I mean, this is like the missing piece that people have been having to hobby their way into a brushless motor. This makes it so that really anybody can buy this adapter, mount their brushless motor, and install it. And they were here one night during the live stream, Josh and Greg, and they were testing the car with this adapter, and it was getting around the track really quick and drives really well. And I think they're onto something. Now, do I think this is a home racetrack thing? I don't think so. Like, it's not that it's super expensive, but it's just like my track can only handle such a so fast of a car. And so it was running great on this track. It set my track record. It was running consistent 4 7s, 4 6s, 4 5s, but I think it got into the 4 4s. So it's really quick. It was down there. I mean, it was a little faster than my Thunder slots, so it's not like a huge gain. But I think where it does gain is over like endurance racing. 6 hours, 24 hours, 12 hours. Those time frames, like worrying about the motor for that long, you kind of eliminate the worry, right? Those brushless motors can handle that without any problems. So thanks to NSR, they're pushing the envelope when it comes to this for 124 scale. But I mean, I don't know that you have to invest $400 or $500 into a brushless motor to go into a 132nd scale car. I just don't know that it's perfect for that. But then I got to drive one of the cars, and it was a fantastic drive. And so it's like, wow, that has got some potential. But yeah, Greg's in the, hey, Greg. Yes, we have developed the perfect adapter. Again, it's something new, and it's awesome to see the hobby progressing. And the fun part for me was I got to be a little bit a part of it, because I kind of became a sounding board for Greg and his team, Josh, and those guys who were developing it. They would send me pictures, and they would send me video clips of testing the car. And this was all, going towards Michigan 24. Well, last night, Slot Car Corner posted in Home Racing World that they were not allowing the motors. And I think the reason why they posted that is NSR starting to take pre-orders for their motors. And if those showed up, somebody would try to figure out a way to make a brushless work but to make it work without this adapter, you are breaking the rules. And I think what Greg and Josh, those guys and Butch, they were so particular about making sure that they did not break the rules, that everything was within the rules. And that's the beauty of this. And so we were actually going to do like kind of a documentary about the story of showing up to the race with these cars prepped and ready to roll. And Greg has done an awesome job. Josh and his friend, they've just done a great job of creating this adapter, and it's what you see on the screen. $26, and you have this great adapter that has been tested and tested and tested and tested for the last almost year in preparation. And so hopefully they get all the details worked out and we get to see it in action. And it probably does change the landscape for endurance racing. But your basic club racing, I think the easy thing for people to do is just ban that motor and say, we don't want people to have to feel like they have to spend the money. We don't want a lot of clubs, they don't want it to become a wallet race. Well, this definitely makes it way more affordable. And I just had my hat off to Greg and Josh and Butch and those guys that have spent tireless hours developing something new for the hobby that could be a big game changer. So if you're interested in it, the website's live. You can order these adapters now. And as Greg said, we have developed the perfect adapter. It's mainly for wood tracks for sure. Yeah. But like you're running great laps on my track. So, that's awesome. Let's see. What did I miss? I was too busy talking. I'll make sure I don't misspeak. And Greg, correct anything if I've misspoken. The club I started in only does Womps and 4.5-inch foam wheels. I have a learning curve. Mark, yeah, foam tires. I don't know anything about foams. So, DNA, the kit with the adapter should be about 1/3 of the cost of the NSR kit for the 124 scale. We've been working for the past 7 months on R&D. Yep, Josh. I wish I could have shared more this evening. I was talking with Race Control. Yeah, Greg, we don't want to mess anything up. Like, our hope is that they see this as innovation and a great testing ground to see if it's worthwhile. I mean, you could easily get into the race and it not be by the end what you think, right? I doubt that, but Mike and those guys, they're all about innovation, I think, and I think they'll come around to it. But I understand, it's just a shame that the rule got changed yesterday, 30 days out, and you've worked tirelessly to make this come in under that. So the NSR motor is designed for another class of racing and is cheap compared to the competition. Oh yeah, I'm not arguing that, Jim. I watched your videos on it. I thought it was a great explanation. When you know that those wing cars, those guys are already dropping $500 to $1,000 in motors just so they can have the fastest motors, or guys are balancing armatures and they stick a bunch of money in those motors. And so if you don't have to do that, you can buy one motor instead of 20. It makes perfect sense. Their price point. Yeah, I mean their motor is not made for. I think that's why they made that rule change, is because they didn't want people to try to figure it out and destroy something, right? But I think what Greg's done is they've thought through all of that. But no, Jim, I appreciate that. Thanks. Josh, it's a great initiative. I work in the UAV industry, so when I saw NSR kit price, I laughed. Yeah, it's up there. Greg will have motor kits this week. That's exciting. Greg, when you get them, I'll post on my socials about it. We'll get the word out. Dan, what is the advantage of brushless? I think that longevity, consistency, I think that's what you run into. I think Greg and Josh could probably answer that question better. If they use glue on their track, rub some simple green on your tires and run some slow laps, and it will pick up the glue off the track. May have to. Great job, Daryl. I'm sure Mark would appreciate some tips. How much does a brushless motor cost? Michael Squire, that is a great question. Josh, Slot Valley, for us, it's reliability. We just ran 2 brushless cars against a field of brushed cars, and neither Greg or myself won. They didn't have the perfect tires on them, but wow, they were fast. The envelope pushers include Dennis, are very actively pursuing brushless. Garth and Jeremy with jaded parts are involved. Yeah, Garth is usually in here sometimes, and I know that they were developing some things. They probably should talk to Greg. They use something that starts with P on the foam tires. Oh, sorry, Mark. I probably shouldn't have laughed at that. I don't know. Thanks, Weber. If I remember currently, the NSR is $300 plus a chip. I've done 5 24-hour races. Some motors do fall, but it's much lower than most people would think. Trust me, this reliability issue isn't really an issue. That's fair, Dave. That's fair. Agreed. There are no motor failures at BRM 24-hour in November. Dave, it's very low for sure. Last year, Slot Car Corner swapped a motor and still won. I just think all the really nice standard 132nd cars I could buy with that money. Slot Journal, agreed. But Josh just mentioned that it'd be about 1/3 the motor, with Greg's adapter and the motors that they're using. Yep. Chris, so the chip is extra money, I guess, if someone is serious. Yeah, Michael, we'll stick to the scratch building. How about that? Cheap short cans. Yeah, Brandon, I agree. Jim's been putting out some great content lately. Oh, DeFingers, you got some thunderstorms your way? I'll be checking the velocity slots out too for my news this week. Thanks, Jim. Or Dave. Why did I just say Jim? Because I just talked to him. Yeah, thanks, Dave. I'm sure Greg appreciates that. I do like brushless motors and power tools, though. Yeah, your DeWalt drill brushless is pretty nice. They do provide a lower EMF rate and allow more control of torque. Let's develop slot cars for under $30. Slot Car Daddy, that is a great idea. Those used to be called Fly and Ninko cars. Not anymore. Good luck. Thanks for the information and guidance. Have a great evening. I look forward to next Tuesday. Thanks. Slot Car Daddy, new Pala cars will be about that. That's awesome. All right, guys, it's 9:36, and we'll start. I'm more of a Milwaukee guy for my brushless tools. That's great, Josh. That's progress. Brushless are lighter weight and allow for better creative weight distribution. Yeah, they would. I mean, that was one of the challenges I think that Greg and Josh ran into was when they changed that, they had more options of for weight distribution. So, well, this has been fun, guys. Get out there, get your Revo slots tuned, ready to race for Thursday. Hope you enjoyed this. This has been a great live chat. Thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate everyone being here, and it means a lot that we've got people who show up. I don't know where we ended. We're at 90 right now. Wow, that number is just crazy. It just blows my mind. But all the new people that jumped into the chat tonight, thank you for being brave enough to jump in with all us crazies, and had a lot of fun. Hopefully, we answered a lot of questions. I feel like I have not stopped talking for the last hour and 37 minutes, but it's been a lot of fun. Hope you enjoy it. Hey, grandson of man, peace out, bro. Let's see, Marty. Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Hope you have a great night, and good night, Gina. Keep getting interrupted by commercials. There were commercials. I apologize for that. Wasn't supposed to be. I have been able to fight those off for months. So somehow YouTube snuck those in on me. So thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Tune in next week for the next adventure. That's right, John. You never know where we're going to go. But thanks, guys, for tuning in. And go have some fun racing.